Hello everyone. Procurement organization structure is what we will be discussing in this videos today. Procurement organization structures are simple. It differs from companies to companies as a lot. And I will give these presentations in this videos a number of structures, a number of study which is based over a period of years and how things have changed to give the audience of this particular video an idea what was the structures prevalent some time back and what is prevalent as of today, and in future the structure is bound to be dynamic and change over a period of time. So agenda is simple. Purchasing organizational structure is what we would like to detail and pinpoint. Influencing factors of a position for purchasing, level of task, responsibilities, authorities, organizational structures within purchasing team, and purchasing job profile as the case might be. So purchasing organizational structure strongly depends on business, characterized and situational factors, level of centralizations or decentralizations, wherein the company can concentrate holding it out on one power level, on one person, on one function, on one location, or it can be decentralized to different power local levels. Everybody will have some degree of authority, flexibility in making a decision or coming to a decision per se. So whether it's a decentralized system or a centralized system, that we need to understand as far as purchasing organization structure is all about it. So what are the levels? Let's say there is highly centralized, then we can have a hybrid centralized, it can be completely hybrid methodologies, and then decentralized hybrid, and as on when on basis on a decentralized motivation level that can go around it. Usually a mixed organizational form is chosen. Reporting lines, you see, I mention at the very beginning of this video that I will basically cite certain examples for you to understand over a period of time. And if you look into it, this is what exactly is happening out here. The flow comes from this end to this end, and if you look, there are gaps out here. Please understand, there are gaps which has been filled and there are gaps which has not been filled as such. Way back in 87 to 1995 and in present centuries of 2003, and probably it goes complexities. So there are positions which were, let's say, chief operating officers was missing till 2000 altogether. It became prominent quite late. Or let's say the corporate vice president or shared service vice president was missing in 1987 completely, but it came into it. And if you look at the total people involved in procurement services or purchasing, if I may say so, varied over a period of time. It enhanced in between 1995 and it gets pruned upon again way back. Now let us talk about another sample. Now this is wherein we are talking about the authorizations of centrality or decentrality, which is either it is completely maneuvered from a single point of contact or it can be decentralized to a number of point of contact, be it centralized, centralized hybrid, decentralized hybrid, or completely decentralized. And you look at again, the things are in different perspective. See, if you look 2003, everything is getting centralizedly hybrid as on when on basis. This is what happening the maximum thing, or should I say that the figure says that it is becoming much more top heavy at the top floors of the things in present scenario, as in the case that has been mentioned out here, which was not the case even in 1987, which was completely on a hybrid fashion. As on when on basis, everybody had the power to go around. Approximately 60% came around it. In 1995, again, it was something similar on that basis. But now of late, that 65% or 60% way back in 87, 95 was changing to 2003 into a higher pedigree orders altogether on the top level of the organization that comes around it. Now, why do you think there's a factors influencing location of purchasing? What are the factors that comes around it and how does it implement? And if you look into it, is it the general management, is it the production management, logistic management, or the financial management? And see the impact that comes around it. The organization location of purchasing is very much dependent upon what the management philosophy is all about it towards the purchasing function. Management views related to the following factors are purchasing shares in the end product cost, financial position of the company, extent to which company is dependent on the supply market as such, strategic purchasing decision. We are talking about the long term impact. Now, how do we go around it? Development and issuing of operational guidelines, procedures, and tasks description which provides authority to the purchasing department, development and implementation of auditing and reviewing programs, outsourcing of activities, perhaps the functions thereof, establishing a long term contract with the preferred supplier, adopting a supplier strategy based on multi versus single sourcing. These are major investment that comes around it. Deciding upon the financial participation in suppliers, backward integration, formulating policies concerning transfer pricing and intercompany supplies, formulating policies on reciprocal arrangement and counter trade as the case might be. This is what we are looking forward to. The strategic purchasing decisions needs to be on a long term basis every now and then. Let us talk about the tactical purchasing decisions. That's a medium term impact. Agreement on a corporate or an annual supplier agreements, probably yes. We can have tactical suppliers, tactical vendors, preparing and developing value analysis programs, adopting and conducting quality certification programs for suppliers, selecting and contracting suppliers in general, programs aimed at supply based reduction, operational purchasing decision, which might be short term oriented, ordering processes, expediting activities related to the release order, invoicing, verification, payment, troubleshooting, monitoring, evaluation, and the supplier performance is thereby. And how do we go across with it? What is needs to be done? Is it all that is viable? Task, responsibilities, and authorities, relationship between three managerial levels and some management position, as the case might be. Essentially, if you look into it, these are the three levels that we talk about it: the strategic level, the tactical level, and the operational level. Now, if you look into the strategic levels, it's all about top management. Now, this is where the strategic level comes around here. But in tactical levels, we are looking at the logistic, purchasing, and the senior buyers, wherein the operational levels is the last two things as the senior buyers and the buying assistant that comes around it as far as operational levels are concerned. So relationship between three manager levels and the management position who are involved into procurement, who are involved into purchasing per se, that is to be kept in mind. So organization structures within purchasing. Now let us talk within purchasing. What are the various structures that comes around it? Number one is a decentralized purchasing. That is, BU means business units. Purchasing is responsible for purchase decision because their consumption they need to monitor it around. Centralized purchasing department is responsible for all strategic and tactical purchasing decision as the case might be. Line and staff organization, both corporate purchasing, business unit purchasing, existing next to each other's, divide responsibilities and activities. Hybrid structures, combination of previous three structures aimed at combining common requirement across the operating unit. These are different forms of pooling, voluntary coordination, lead buyers, and lead design concept per se. How do you come across with it? Cross functional teams are sourcing teams. Contracting is done centrally by commodity teams. However, all operational purchasing activities are essentially decentralized, essentially not been fixated into one particular power position, one particular authority, one particular location per se. So we have structures of multi-unit companies, be it decentralized purchasing, centralized purchasing, line, staff organization, hybrid structure, and obviously cross-functional teams as the case might be. Organic structures can be centralized, can be decentralized. Some criteria to consider: commonality of purchasing requirement, geographic location, supply market structure, saving potential, expertise required, the price, the fluctuation in price, the customer demands that comes around it. In practice, these consideration needs to be decisive when deciding on buying products centrally or otherwise, as the case might be. So let us talk about a company, an organization. What would be the organogram look like into it? If you see here, the top member would be the board member, right? Absolutely, yes. Then we have the corporate purchasing and the corporate staff. So we can have division A, division B, division C's. The divisions can be based on functions or location, and then they can have the production, marketing, and so on and so forth. This is where the centralized purchasing organization takes place. As an example, the board members, the corporate purchasing, the corporate staff, and based on the division or SBU, strategic business units, how they are located into it. Let's say a decentralized things wherein the purchasing gets added upon. This is the point that needs to be taken into consideration. As such, the purchasing needs to be added upon, which means all the purchasing is been done by the purchasing of that particular division. The profitability of that division depends on that purchasing thing. The responsibilities are out there, and they have to show the result out. So this is the difference of the organogram between a centralized purchasing organization structure and a decentralized purchasing organization structures as such. So organization structure within purchasing, what are the advantages? Let's say about direct responsible for operating companies, definitely yes. Stronger customer orientations toward the internal users, definitely yes. Less bureaucratic, they know where to go around it and not beat around the bush. It has higher procedures, higher operational flexibility, less friction cost due to coordination and direct communication with suppliers. On the flip side, the disadvantages are dispersed purchasing powers, lack of economies of scales. People might get affected as far as allocation is concerned. Certain division might get preferred, the other divisions might get neglected. So no uniform way of handling towards the supplier. Scattered supply market research. Not everybody will come to know about the information as on when on it is made available. So limited possibilities for building up. Specific expertise on purchasing, supply, market, and component. Different commercial purchasing conditions among different operating companies per se. So organization structures within purchasing, how can we look into it? So if we look at the dotted line, this is very important, is the functional relationship that needs to be done all together. Absolutely. This is the dotted line that comes around here. If you look at for the corporate functions, this will take away the pains and pleasures of having amalgamating a centralized and decentralized team, where the purchasing team has to report to the corporate purchasing team and they need to inform each other as on when on the requirement arises. All the things have been supplied then and there. So organizing within purchasing, if you are looking into it, the positive, the negative, the procurement, as the case might be. This is what happens with division A, division B, division 3, 4, 5, 6, and you will have a global commodity council, the cable connection, the chemicals, the electronics, card assembly, etc. We have chairperson and members as and when on basis. In every tick mark is a member, but every positive sign, the additional sign would be a chairperson who would be looking onto the procurement process of all together, be it for divisions 2, but in divisions 3 there are no chairmen altogether. For divisions A there might be one chairman, and that's it. So if you look end up into it, divisions 2 has a chairman and probably will have the most powerful thing. So how do we go within purchasing? How does it impact altogether? So consequences. Let us understand the consequences of purchasing professional functions. Chief procurement officers is CPO. Development of corporate sourcing strategies, systems, and reporting. Skill requires is general management and skills, leadership, communication skills, corporate buyers, strategic commodities, commercial skills, you name it and we have it as far as consequences are concerned. Essentially, the chief procurement officers has the responsibilities and what are the skills required. Corporate buyers should be studying commodities and what are the skills required. The category buyers, the new material, the innovative things, the new suppliers, what are the skills required, and so on and so forth with the project buyers, the NPR buyers, and the material buyer thereby. So for purchasing professional, if you compare it for a decade back, purchasing professional higher educated, they have a business degree, probably a postgraduate degree at responsible for more dollars, more money, more likely to be women, negotiations for a more long-term contract, involved in outsourcing decisions, looking for a global market shape, reducing cost, and the number of suppliers is what they impediment is required about it. Now, these are the things that comes with the purchasing professional. Essentially nowadays it is more female orientation who are into the negotiation as the best process of getting the best quality products at the much more reasonable price. So conclusion wise, there are only three conclusions that comes into my mind. One by one, let me get to you. I had stated everything differs in every company. Purchasing structures appears to differ or vary from one company to another company. Why? Because different management philosophy has to agree to it. Every company has their own style of working. When analyzing the scope and the task, the responsibility and the authority of the purchasing function, we differentiated on three levels: the tactical level, the strategic level, and the operational level, and try to understand where the big ticket and who is responsible for the big ticket, the small ticket, and the inconsequential purchases that comes around it. Then we have the purchasing structures, which tends to be shifting with the power basis. It's a highly volatile thing. A period of centralized purchasing is often followed by change on the other way around, as the case might be. Now, how do we come across and how do we go ahead with it? With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video till the very end. I'm sure you have understood the various procurement organizational structures all involved into it. Thank you once again.